Jason, as always, we appreciate your time. Let me ask you this. Was it a goal for ownership to get this extension done before the trade deadline?
That's an interesting question. I think the way things have played out, I think that definitely makes the most sense. I talked to Vivek about this back in September, and his thing was, let's win. Like, I like everything that these guys are doing. I like the coach they hired. I like the draft picks, the trades they've made. But let's see it. Let's win games. And so I think first and foremost, they wanted to see this work. And then, I don't know what world we're living in where the Kings are third in the Western Conference, but it's working. And so, you get to this point, and I think it just made a lot of sense to go ahead and get this deal done now.
I think a lot of Kings fans and we here on the show were wondering, like, what is taking so long with a Monte McNair extension, and sort of wondering if it was going to get done or if it was going to happen. We saw the report from Mark Stein saying early 2023 this thing was going to go down. Did you ever wonder either what was taking so long, if it would happen, or did it feel like a foregone conclusion to you all along?
Well, I thought it was a foregone conclusion. I just think that ownership was waiting, to my previous point, waiting to see this thing in motion. I've had a sense for quite some time that they were working towards a deal. Like, there was a period of time where I knew there were not discussions taking place. And then I got to a certain point, like I had a conversation with Monty on the road a month ago, maybe, and we were in Milwaukee, and then we spoke again in Cleveland. And he didn't want to talk about whether they had engaged in talks at that point. But he made it clear he was very happy here, wanted to stay, wanted to see this through. And then more recently, I was in LA for the Lakers game. What was that, over the weekend? And Monty and Vivek had a pretty lengthy courtside chat there before the game. They sat for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes at least. And that looked like that didn't look like chit chat to me. That looked like, more of a business discussion. And I don't have precise intel on what that conversation was, but it seemed to me at the time that they might have been talking some business.
Jason Anderson with us from the Sacramento Bee. Jason, you talk about what world do we live in with this team as the 3 seed in the Western Conference. Is this deal done with Monty if the Kings aren't winning as much as they are? Let's say if they were hovering around the 5th seed, 6th seed, maybe looking at the play-in right now. Would this deal have been done?
5th or 6th seed, yeah, I think so. If it was anything lower than that, and you're in that big bunch of teams that are, there's like 5 or 6 teams that are all within a couple games of each other.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think maybe it's a little more tenuous because, like, you're really on the edge there of whether this is going to be a successful season or not. And really, the bar was set before the year that the expectations were, let's get to the playoffs. And I think if you're down in that 7, 8, 9, 10 range, there's probably they probably waited out, and this thing might have dragged on until the end of the season. But given where they're at in the standings, the way the team's playing, Mike and his staff and the job they're doing, it's just, it's very apparent that Monty and Wes have made a number of really good decisions, and haven't missed much. And so, I think for all of those reasons, there was no reason to wait. And especially with the trade deadline coming up, as you guys noted earlier, it just makes perfect sense. You get this deal done now, everybody feels good about it, and it takes any weirdness out of the equation as you get closer to the deadline.
Other than the fact they are the 3 seed, what's been most surprising to you, Jason, about this Kings team and where we are right now?
Well, I don't know. I knew they could be top 10 offensively. Like I've been saying that since the summer. And then the question was on the defensive end, if they could pick it up some there. I guess I would, when I was saying top 10, look, I meant, 5 to 10, 8 to 10, something like that, to see them number 1 in scoring, to see them top 5 in offensive rating and true shooting, and effective field goal percentage and all these other advanced stats. That to me is better than expected. Of course, their positioning in the standings is better than I think any of us expected. I kind of figured them as like a 7-8 type of team, and wondered if they could punch through to the 6. But they're obviously overperforming there.
Jason Anderson with us. Just one more for you from me, Jason. A big part of the equation here of this success so far is HB. Mike Brown was very complimentary of Harrison Barnes on Monday night, calling him irreplaceable. Mm-hmm. Is he close to untouchable, Jason, right now?
I think he is. I mean, the latest I've heard kind of from inside the Palace walls is that this front office is never satisfied. Those are words I've heard. And their work is never done. So they're going to be engaged in discussions like all over the place. But like, this is a team that was in every trade rumor for 2 years. The first 2 years Monte and Wes were here, as they kind of tried to remake this roster, and they've done that. There's only 3 guys left from when they took over. But now things are pretty quiet, and HB is essential. I mean, you're right. Mike called him irreplaceable, and I don't think that was. I think that there was some purpose in Mike making that point. And he just really is. He's a consummate pro, on and off the court. He can go get you a bucket. He's been lauded for his defense a lot of times, a lot of nights. He's been the DPOG, and he just gives them so much. And there just really aren't a lot of guys like him. So if there's a way to upgrade and maybe you get younger or you get better on the defensive end, then I think you listen and you have those conversations. But I'm not sure I see HB going anywhere. I think it might be more likely at this point that he stays and maybe even signs an extension.
Great stuff, Jason. We always appreciate you, man. Fan of you and friend of the show as always. Enjoy tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
See it. There goes Jason Anderson from Sacramento B. All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Draft Mockery coming up.